The teasers dropped, the fandom went silent. In an instant, the entire K-pop world was turned upside down. The lights of Coachella faded, leaving behind a storm of criticism. Headlines started popping up literally everywhere, screaming, "They failed again," framing this as a total disaster comeback. Could one of the biggest girl groups survive the backlash, or was this the end of their reign? Welcome to StarScope K-Report. Join Eric and Minji as they ride the Hallyu wave, uncovering the biggest K-pop comebacks, shocking industry controversies, and major K-drama updates. From internet-breaking rumors to historic chart milestones, we dive deep into the world of Korean entertainment.
Yes, so today we are setting out on a very specific mission for this deep dive. We are unpacking Sserafim's highly polarizing fourth EP, which is called Crazy.
Right.
And this release, it comes just 6 months after their Billboard Hot 100 hit Easy. And more importantly, it's right on the heels of their heavily criticized Coachella performance.
Yeah, that timing is just, well, it's everything.
Exactly. So we're going to examine the official agency statements, the showcase interviews, those intense Reddit fandom debates, and expert music reviews to answer one defining question. Is this comeback a brilliant road to redemption or a calculated tactic to hide their flaws?
To really understand the sheer weight of this comeback, I feel like we have to look at the data and, the timeline. We have to rewind to April, to the Coachella Valley Music and Arts Festival.
Oh, boy. Yeah.
Which, that is a massive historic stage for any artist. But the aftermath, it wasn't about the staging, it wasn't about the outfits or the crowd size. The narrative was entirely hijacked by just this barrage of criticism focused strictly on their live vocals during that 40-minute set.
And, that criticism didn't just stay in standard festival reviews, it mutated.
Right.
As we know, the MR removed trend in K-pop is notoriously brutal.
It really is.
And the Coachella aftermath was absolutely no exception. For anyone tracking the fandom wars, these videos where netizens literally digitally strip away the backing track to expose just the raw, isolated live microphone feed.
Which sounds terrifying for any artist, by the way.
Oh, it's a nightmare. It became a viral blood sport. It wasn't just casual commentary, It was this intense microscopic dissection of Sserafim's pitch and their breath control.
Yeah.
And it created this massive echo chamber of negativity that just completely eclipsed the actual achievement of even being booked at Coachella in the first place.
It definitely compounded the pressure.
Yeah.
And looking at the timeline, it wasn't just the festival performance that had them under the microscope, right?
Sure.
The group's Eun-chae, Eun-chae, she faced a massive secondary controversy that netizens deliberately resurfaced right in the middle of all this vocal backlash.
Right, the live stream.
Yeah, during a live stream back in March 2023, she made a remark about school life. She basically said, you're all still in school, right? It must be tough.
Which, okay, to an international fan who's just, watching with subtitles, it probably registers as a passing, slightly sarcastic joke.
Yeah, just a teenager being a teenager.
Exactly. But this is where the cultural context of the domestic market dictates literally everything.
Right. Tell us about that.
So South Korean students are under immense, almost unimaginable societal pressure to succeed academically. The college entrance exams, the Sunyoung, it dictates your entire future.
It's intense.
It is. So when K-nets heard that comment, they viewed it as incredibly insensitive. They saw it as essentially a wealthy, highly successful idol mocking hardworking, exhausted students.
Oh, wow. Yeah, when you frame it like that.
Right. And the timing of this resurfacing was just devastating. You have a heavily criticized vocal performance on a global stage crashing right into an attitude controversy from the youngest member. The fandom was, they were in absolute crisis mode.
That puts the agency, Source Music and HYVE in a very difficult position. Statistically speaking, ignoring a dual front controversy like this just doesn't work. The numbers show you have to get ahead of it.
You really do.
So during the showcase, held at the Yes24 Live Hall in Eastern Seoul for the release of Crazy, they didn't deploy the usual corporate silence.
Which was surprising.
Yeah. Leader Kim Chae-won, she addressed the press directly.
Mm-hmm.
Based on the official transcripts, she stated that Coachella was their first massive outdoor festival. She admitted they They couldn't control their pace, they were overly excited, and they had shortcomings.
That's a huge admission.
Right. She framed it as a learning experience, calling continuous improvement a lifelong task.
And Eun-chae also stepped up to the microphone. And let me tell you, you could practically feel the tension in that room.
Oh, I bet.
She apologized for the live stream remark, specifically citing her immaturity and her failure to consider the impact of her words. She acknowledged getting too comfortable communicating with fans and promised to be, more thoughtful. Watching that showcase, it was a very sobering moment. The emotional toll of having thousands of people dissect your every breath and having to publicly apologize for a year-old live stream comment while you're trying to promote a brand new album.
It's a lot.
It's so much. You could just see the weight of the crown they're wearing.
I understand the gravity of that room, for sure. But looking at the mechanics of this industry, I have to question the scale of the reaction.
How do you mean?
Well, think of the K-pop idol system, like a top-tier luxury watch, right?
Yeah.
The casing is gorgeous, the marketing is pristine. But if one tiny gear inside, like a single vocal crack at a festival or an offhand comment on an hours-long live stream, if that slips, the domestic audience suddenly treats the entire product as defective. Doesn't the intense scrutiny feel vastly disproportionate to the actual mistake? I mean, rock bands have bad sets. Pop stars miss notes all the time.
Yeah.
But here, a bad night is treated as a deep moral failing.
I get what you're saying. And that luxury watch analogy, it actually hits exactly on the core psychology of the domestic fandom.
Okay, how so?
The reason K-nets react to a slipping gear like it's a moral failing is because they view themselves as the watchmakers.
Oh, that's a great way to put it.
Right. K-pop is built on the trainee system and parasocial marketing. Fans don't just passively consume the music. They buy the physical albums to boost first week sales. They organize mass streaming parties. They literally fund subway billboard ads for these idols' birthdays.
They're investing.
Exactly. They feel like actual investors in the idol's journey. So when the illusion of perfection cracks, the domestic backlash is visceral because it feels like a breach of contract.
Which completely contrasts with the international metrics.
Oh, vastly. International fans, particularly those on platforms like Reddit or X, they operate with a totally different rulebook.
Yeah, they were super defensive.
They jumped immediately to a defensive stance. Their argument was that Ellie as Sserafim's unique selling proposition has always been their intense, highly athletic performance style.
Right, the choreography.
Yeah. They were defending the group by pointing out the sheer physics of the Coachella stage. They were singing live while executing choreography that would leave a professional athlete breathless.
That's a fair point. But they issued this very humble, "we will do better" apology at the showcase. And if you're promising to improve your vocals, releasing a track that is essentially spoken word is a massive, risky pivot.
It really is.
Did that actually work? Because when the actual crazy comeback dropped on Spotify and YouTube, the internet exploded for a completely different reason. You won't believe what netizens accuse their agency of doing next.
Oh, the conversation shifted overnight. Because when we look at the actual music they released to answer this Coachella controversy, it sparked a whole new firestorm among the fandoms.
Let's break down the production data on this comeback because it's fascinating. The title track, Crazy, is this EDM-based house track anchored by a very urban-style rap delivery.
Yes.
It's built around this ridiculously catchy thumping bass line and features a deadpan, instantly viral lyric, which is, all the girls are girling.
Which is everywhere right now.
Everywhere. It's incredibly stylish. It's perfectly designed for clubs and TikTok challenges. But structurally, if you look at the sheet music, it is a massive departure from the vocal-heavy melodies you might expect an agency to authorize if they were actively trying to prove a group's singing chops.
And that pivot is exactly what ignited the tactic controversy. Yeah. If you dive into the Reddit communities, specifically the threads on Rec Pump Censored, there is a fierce, highly analytical debate raging right now. A very vocal contingent of netizens accuse HYBE and Source Music of deliberately releasing a song that is, in their words, 90% talking.
90% talking. Wow.
Right. The theory floating around is that this was a calculated defensive move. They're saying the agency did this to avoid requiring the members to hit high notes or project complex live vocals while dancing on the upcoming music shows.
So they're dodging the issue.
Exactly. They are essentially accusing the agency of hiding the group's perceived weaknesses behind a stylistic talk rap club track.
I actually tracked the timeline on this. And the release of their documentary, make it look easy, was immediately dragged into this Reddit theory.
Oh, of course it was.
Yeah, the documentary heavily featured the immense physical and emotional strain the members go through. I mean, you see Sakura crying, you see the medical visits, the sheer exhaustion of their schedule.
It is intense to watch.
Really intense. And detractors claimed the documentary was intentionally dropped right before Crazy to farm public sympathy.
Wow.
Yeah, they think it was a PR move to preemptively shield the group from criticism about the talk-heavy EP.
It's a highly cynical read of the PR strategy, I have to say.
Right.
But it gained incredible traction. The fandom, the fair-nots, they immediately fired back with their own timeline defense.
What did they say?
Well, they pointed out that the documentary footage was actually filmed in late 2023, which is long before the Coachella stage even happened.
Ah, okay. That pokes a hole in the theory.
Exactly. For the fandom, it's an authentic, heartbreaking look at the grueling reality of the industry, not some, Machiavellian shield. But the detractors, they kept weaponizing other fourth-gen groups against them.
Like who?
You see constant comparisons to groups like aespa, who recently went viral at Lollapalooza for their incredibly stable, powerhouse live vocals.
Right. I saw those clips. They sounded great.
They did. And netizens use these side-by-side comparisons to argue that if you are a top-tier idol, you shouldn't have to resort to talk singing just to survive a comeback.
I have to challenge this whole failure narrative, though.
Okay, let's hear it.
Looking at this purely from an A&R and production standpoint,
Yeah.
if your group just got dragged for live vocals, isn't leaning into a stylistic talk rap club banger just smart business?
I mean, it is.
Why is adapting to your actual strengths considered a failure by netizens?
Okay.
If we look at Western pop, artists lean into speak singing all the time to create a vibe, and it tops the Billboard charts.
That's very true.
Right. If Sserafim's strength is their undeniable charisma, their visuals, and their stage presence, why shouldn't they release a track that maximizes exactly that? Why force a square peg into a round hole by dropping a Mariah Carey-style ballad just to appease a demographic of anti-fans who are probably going to hate the release anyway?
That's a very fair assessment of their market positioning, honestly. And what adds nuance to this is that the EP does actually address the vocal critiques. They just buried it in the B-sides.
Oh, really? Which track?
There is a track called Crazier, which was actually produced by member Eun-chae.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and it's a much softer, more melodic track that specifically highlights their vocal tones. So it proves they aren't completely abandoning vocal melodies. They just made a distinct, unapologetic artistic choice for the lead single. They chose high energy and club aesthetics over a traditional vocal showcase.
And clearly, it's keeping the engagement metrics incredibly high. So if you love staying updated on your favorites and tracking these industry shifts, make sure you're subscribed to StarScope K-Report. We've got even bigger scoops ahead. Because this story doesn't end with just the audio production.
Not at all. The audio is really only half the equation in K-pop. Wait until you hear the cultural shockwave the music video choreography sent through the fandom.
Which brings us to the visual presentation. You cannot analyze a K-pop comeback without dissecting the music video, and Crazy is an absolute visual feast.
It really is.
Imagine a neon-lit, hyper-stylized fashion runway. The color grading is intense. The music video is packed with these striking, high-contrast visuals. The members strutting with incredible attitude, executing sharp, linear, almost geometric movements.
Yes.
It feels like a high-fashion editorial brought to life. And right there, sharing the screen and the spotlight in a mainstream idol video, are actual drag artists and trans women, completely elevating the aesthetic of the entire production.
The choreography is where this comeback makes its most significant and, frankly, its riskiest cultural statement. The group took a massive swing by incorporating voguing into their routine.
Voguing? Wow.
Yeah. And voguing, which originated from the 1960s Harlem ballroom scene, was created largely by Black and Latino LGBTQ+ communities.
Right, it's a very specific culture.
It is a highly demanding, highly specific cultural art form. Sakura actually mentioned in the showcase that there's a sequence where they have to dance while holding one leg entirely straight up in the air.
Are you kidding?
No! She detailed how it requires immense core strength just to maintain balance without shaking. Eun-chae even talked about practicing her singing in the recording booth while standing on one leg.
In the booth?
Yeah. Just to build the muscle memory and stamina for the live stages. They essentially utilize this intense, high-concept physical performance to anchor the song.
That's brilliant.
It is. They're masking the vocal simplicity with sheer athletic and visual spectacle.
From a stage direction perspective, it's an incredible strategy. But of course, integrating a deeply underground subculture into a highly commercialized K-pop machine means the cultural reception was immediately split.
Oh, definitely.
I was reading the Bias List, which is a very prominent K-pop review site, and they offered a pretty sharp critique of this crossover.
What did they say?
The reviewer pointed out that the song borrows heavily from drag and ballroom culture. I mean, even adopting the deadpan all the girls are girling slang.
Right.
But the critique asked a really structural question. Does K-pop's notoriously rigid, highly polished idol system actually allow for the authentic eccentricity and raw, unfiltered personality required to truly pull off a ballroom track?
That is a very good question.
Right. The Bias List essentially argued that Sserafim needed to turn their weirdness dial up to 11, but the corporate idol structure kept them too restrained, making the track feel a bit flat compared to actual ballroom anthems.
That critique hits on a fundamental tension in the Hallyu wave right now. The clash between the polished, highly regulated perfection of the idol industry and the raw, authentic subcultures they often draw inspiration from.
Exactly.
However, the international fan response offered a totally different perspective. They focus heavily on the execution and representation. Many fans were absolutely thrilled.
Really, they loved it.
Oh, they loved it. They praised HYBE and Source Music for not just appropriating the moves and the slang, but for authentically hiring the House of Juicy Couture to perform alongside the girls in the video.
Okay, that is a big deal.
It's massive. Putting queer, black, and brown bodies front and center in a mainstream, high-budget K-pop music video is a significant progressive move in an often conservative industry.
For sure.
For a lot of fans, it wasn't just about whether the girls had enough drag queen personality. It was about the respectful homage and the sheer visibility on such a massive platform. It's a bold direction that proves they're willing to take risks, even after a hiatus of sorts from universal praise.
It definitely shifts the parameters of what a comeback can look like. Hit that subscribe button so you never miss a KT update as we keep tracking this comeback's chart performance. Because whether it hits an all-kill on the charts or not, this release has undeniably shifted the conversation.
It really forces a pivot in how we evaluate these groups. And this raises an important question, something for us all to really think about as this generation of K-pop continues to evolve.
What's that?
Will the crazy comeback redefine what it means to be a successful fourth-gen K-pop group? In an era of intense internet scrutiny where MR-removed videos can trigger a global hate train in a matter of hours, are we moving toward a future where high-concept performance art, intense athleticism, and ballroom aesthetics completely replace traditional vocal expectations?
Wow.
If the pressure for live vocal perfection is creating an impossible standard, will the visual and the vibe ultimately matter more than the microphone?
You've been listening to StarScope K-Report, where Eric and Minji bring you the stories shaping K-pop, K-dramas, and the global Hallyu wave. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that keep the stars shining.